Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Creativerse. My name is Josiah and today I am super stoked because off camera I found some stuff out and I gotta show you guys this stuff. Let's go through the door real quick. Now let's see if I can show this off. Aha, here we go. Just right over here. Look at this. I went farming for some more queen bees because we did harvest all the other bits of honeycomb and whatnot, whatever you call it. But I found some stuff out, which is super cool. It's always cool to learn some new stuff in these games. So first thing, you'll notice this leafy is here. There used to be actually a few more. I'm not sure whether or not they've just despawned or if maybe since I just loaded into this world just now that this guy is new and he's the new spawn. But you'll notice these are cragwood leaves. This is what we've been planting the queen bees on top of so that they can grow us some more honeycombs, some more wax. And apparently, you know that loading screen whenever you're loading into a game and it just gives you those helpful tidbits of information? Well, one of those tidbits of information is that these leafy creatures right here, they spawn in the shade of those cragwood trees, just like that big one right behind our base over there. Now what I did with this information is when we planted all these little cragwood leaves on the ground to use as the bases for these queen bee blocks, it turns out that just this small amount of shade right here generated by one cragwood leaf block is actually enough to spawn a leafy. So what I thought we might be able to do in the future is actually clear out a massive area and just put maybe like one or two cragwood leaf columns in that area so we can spawn a ton of leafies. Might be a cool project for the future, but we're not going to do it today. So what I also would like to show you guys, something I also found out off camera while I was looking for these queen bee blocks, are these, the rime cones. Scroll over to them in my hotbar there so you can see. Essentially, with these rime cones, we found them in like the second episode as we were exploring for a new place to live before we had even made the beginning of that base right over there. Now the cool thing about these is when I first picked them up using my power cell here, my mining power cell, essentially I thought, hey, you know, if you can pick them up, maybe you can place them down again as kind of a decorative thing, like what we did with the flowers and the vines just right over here in front of the base to make a little garden. But it turns out that is so not the case. What you can do with these things is actually really cool. So what I'm going to do is, it looks like, ooh, there's a chest just right up there. I'm going to have to remember to get that. We're going to scroll over to our sword. And we're going to go over here and we're going to start trying to kill this pigsy right here. Now the reason for this is because we want to measure just how strong our sword is. So let's go ahead and test this out. 1, 2, and he's dead. Go ahead and take all that loot there. Now we'll be able to use 2 swings of an obsidian sword in order to measure the strength of these rime cones. And what do I mean by strength? Well, it turns out you can actually toss these things at enemy mobs like grenades. They're like essentially the basic level of bombs that you can throw at mobs. It's super cool. So what I'm going to do is go over here and we're going to throw these rime cones at this pigsy right here just to see how strong they are. So remember, this sword took 2 swings. So let's test this out. 1, 2, 3. And he's dead. Check it out. So essentially it's not quite as strong throwing these rime cones at a mob as would say be using an obsidian sword. I'm guessing it's probably closer to the strength of a stone sword, which we could actually test out because I've got my stone sword that I originally crafted saved in a chest down there, but we're not going to go for that. And as you can see, there's a ton of queen bee blocks probably just hiding up there in those cragwood trees. You know, there's all that honeycomb right up there, and we don't have to farm that anymore. We've got our own right down here. Also, with these rime cones, I thought, you know, hey, if we can find them underneath certain trees, and they kind of look like pine trees. I think they're called elderwood trees, technically in the game. What I did is I actually went out into the world and found some saplings of them, and I put them exactly in the same areas as we grew our last saplings. So with any luck, when that tree right here grows, hopefully some more rime cones will spawn somewhere in this little patch right here. Keep your fingers crossed. But anyways, that's enough with the cool stuff that I found out last time, just off camera while I was farming some materials. Let's go ahead and go in here, see if we can find, where is it? Aha, mob drops. Let's go ahead and toss that, that. Do we need bones? I don't think we need bones. Oh, also, something else. While I was harvesting leaves, I think, I found some blue carpet. Either that or was in a chest. Oh, also, did we get the chest from over there? One sec. I'm going to have to go check that out, because I don't want to leave... Yeah, it looks like we already got that chest. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave that leafy there as a reminder that we can actually farm those guys. Hopefully. In theory, it should work. Go ahead and close the door there. Alright. So actually, I've got a list of things written down IRL that we should be able to get at least close to completing in this episode. So I'm going to go ahead and go over those real quick. First thing I'd like to do in this episode, since we have the obsidian sword and the obsidian mining cell, what we should be able to do is, of course, get the obsidian armor. Another thing that we need to do, when I first started building this house, I thought, you know, if we make a second level to this house, we'll probably put some extra storage areas just up there, because these are actually getting filled pretty quickly. So it turns out that I actually don't want to do that plan. What I'd like to do is have the extra storage in a basement just below here. And I'll actually have the teleporter to go up to the second story just right over here next to the entrance, so we can just kind of pop in and go straight into it if we know we need to go upstairs after a long adventure. Speaking of which, teleporters, if we come over here into the crafting cube, we can actually make teleporters now, so that's probably something we're going to be doing in this episode. Another thing, we might not be able to get to it this episode, possibly next episode, is getting iron. Now, iron is pretty rare as far as I've experienced so far. I usually don't get a lot of it whenever I go exploring for it specifically. It's kind of a random thing for me. I don't know if I'm just not mining in the right areas, but hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, we might be able to find it in this episode. And the last thing I'd like to show you guys, at least today, is this bad boy, the wood burning lamp. Now this does take coal and quite a few resources, 4 different types of resources in total, which is pretty nuts. But if you look at this one, the Architect torch, which technically we're not advanced enough to create yet, we technically could, we just don't have enough arc stones. And usually you don't start finding a lot of arc stones until you reach the bottom of the world. Reason being is the creatures that actually drop the arc stones, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that they spawn a little more frequently in the lowest part of the world. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on the obsidian armor. I think I should have most of the stuff required for the obsidian armor already in my inventory. As you can see, we've got lots of obsidian here. I did go hunting for that off camera mainly. We found a little bit of obsidian last episode, but yeah, a lot of this was found off camera. Just going to check and make sure we don't actually have any more obsidian being smelted anywhere. So let's go ahead and go down to the armor section. Using the mouse wheel doesn't really work very well. So let's go ahead and start crafting this. Here it says rocks to rocks, leather, stone rods, and obsidian. Now this is just kind of a side note, but I always like to think that the stone rods are actually used to chisel in the detail of the armor, because the higher tier you go, you usually use a lower tier rod of some sort of material in combination with the higher tier, so just a thought. Anyways, let's go ahead and make the obsidian leggings. And there we are, those are done. The helmet, chest piece, and of course the gloves. And now we can go ahead and collect all of that. And if we go into our inventory, we can just start plopping this stuff on, and look at that, our character has completely changed. We can say goodbye to the leather armor. We didn't actually have it for very long, but you know, it's always good to continuously progress. And of course, in the crafting queue, you can't actually make the next set of armor until you make the set of armor just below it. So now, we can start to make iron leggings, iron helmet, the breastplate, and of course the arm guards, which it looks like requires Miru eyes, which are of course those monsters that we showed last episode when we went mining. Those monsters can actually blind you, which probably is why they drop eyes. Twine, it looks like obsidian rods. Like I said, the next tier of armor or whatever you're using usually uses obsidian, or I'm sorry, the lower tier rod of some sort of material. And of course iron bars. Now the thing about iron bars is that not only can you smelt raw iron to make iron bars, but you can also smelt the iron bars to make a different type of iron, which is used in crafting some higher tier tools and armor. So let's go ahead and exit out of that. Next thing I would probably like to do is make a teleporter. And there we are. We've already got all the materials we need. So let's go ahead and craft that. It makes 2 of them automatically, obviously, because you need to put one teleporter in one spot and the teleporter that you're teleporting to in the other, which in this case we're going to put one right here and go right above to the second level of the house. So let's go ahead and do that now. Oh, look at that animation. It's so cool. So a few things about the teleporter. If you're right-clicking on here, this is kind of confusing when you first try to use the teleporter, but it is pretty basic when you finally start to figure it out, but it can get very complicated in multiplayer. So how it works, this portal's code. So obviously this is the identifier right here for this specific portal. However, if we were to lay down a different portal in another part of the world, we would need to fill in this part of that portal as well, or the teleporter as well. That means that we can teleport to this one that we have in front of us from the other one that we placed down in the world. It's kind of confusing, but I'll show you guys how it works in just a second. So let's go ahead and find an area. Right over here should work. So 1 block there, 2 blocks there. Our character can jump up 2 blocks, so let's go ahead and mine those blocks away so we can jump right up here to the second floor. Now technically our portal, our teleporter, should be right here, just below that block right there. So let's go ahead and place one right there. Perfect. Alright, so what do we want to use as the identifier for the portal codes? I'm thinking stone. Stone is actually pretty common. So let's go ahead and just right click on the stone. Now if you right click again, it will add another stone to this portal's code. So this is the identifier for the portal that's right in front of us, not below us, this one right here. So what I'm going to do, drag this stone, and it'll only add 1. That's the thing. I don't think you can actually add an entire stack of any one particular item to the portal's code. It doesn't get that crazy. So we have 1 stone there and 1 stone there. So technically if we walk into this portal, it will only teleport us to a portal that also has 1 block of stone as its code. So if we were to walk into it right now, it would technically teleport us who knows where. Never really tried that, and I'm not really brave enough to try it out. So we're going to go down here and we're going to right click on this portal, add stone, and of course it also needs to be able to teleport us to the portal just up top. And there we are. The code should be all linked up, and since we're in the same chunk, those 2 portals are in the same chunk as each other, technically if we walk into one, we shouldn't have to wait for a loading screen. So let's go ahead and test it out now. And there we are. It's instantly popping us right up to the top floor, which is perfect. Let's go ahead and teleport down to the base. There we are. And hopefully sometime in the future we'll actually have that second floor done. But for right now, now that we have the obsidian mining cell, we need to get prepared to go back down into the mine and find ourselves some iron and possibly go down into the next section of the world. So let's go in here and let's make ourselves some wood burning lamps. We should have plenty of materials in order to make a few of these, and it looks like this actually makes 4 wood burning lamps each time you click craft. There we are, and it looks like out of all the materials we ran out of stone rods first, which is actually kind of weird. I always thought that I would run out of coal first, but that's actually good. Collect all of those, and it looks like it's unlocked all the different types of lamps that we can actually craft, including all the different colors, plus an extra one, gas lamps, which actually utilizes the fossils that we found last time we went mining, which should be here we go, in the process materials chest. Now we've only got 4 of them right now, but the more we dig down and the more we go mining, the more of those things we're going to find. So let's see, we've got lots of torches, lots of lamps, and 50 health potions. Now the whole reason why we have 50 is actually because off camera, while I was mining all those leaves and all those queen bee hive blocks, I actually found quite a few flowers on tops of trees, so we should be set for health potions right now. And with that being said, let's go ahead and pop down into the caves. It is becoming nighttime, so this is actually a perfect time to go down there. Cross our little bridge here. Now you'll remember that last time when you come down here, we've actually got that section of the cave all lit up. So hopefully no monsters are spawning over there, but the further down we dig, it doesn't really matter how much we light up the area. Sometimes monsters can just spawn, or at least I assume. There is one level that's got lava in it, so I assume there's actually quite a bit of light, but sometimes monsters still spawn, and hopefully, if all goes well, and if we do find some iron, we might be able to break down into the next section of the world. So let's go ahead and tab over to our obsidian mining cell, and I will mine out this area until I find something interesting, and I'll be right back. Now, I technically haven't found anything interesting just yet, and as we're digging into this stalactite and siltstone, or is that what you call that? Siltstone, yeah. Essentially, it's just getting really dark, and this is actually a really good chance to show you guys just how bright these wood-burning lamps really are. So let's go ahead and place one down, and look at that. It's almost like it's broad daylight down here. So obviously, I've never actually used the gas lamps, even in my other survival world, my single-player survival world. I've just never really found any place that's so dark that you really need gas lamps. Wood-burning lamps, they do cost 4 different types of resources, but for what they cost, they're actually really efficient. So technically this isn't super exciting the further I dig down, but you'll notice that this block looks a little bit different than the siltstone. Now this stuff is actually called mold. Now you wouldn't imagine that mold is actually all that important, but it is used in some higher tier crafting recipes, so I'm going to go ahead and collect it all the same. Okay, so this is actually new. Now, remember when we first started out and those brown mushrooms were so hard to find? Now these are the blue mushrooms. Now these technically aren't that hard to find, especially since we're going further down into the world, and these are pretty common in certain caves and areas. And these, I'm pretty sure, are used in health potions. Also, these blue mushrooms usually lead to open cave areas, so if we mine enough of these out, we may end up finding ourselves in an open cave where we might find ourselves some iron. Okay, so we've actually mined quite a ways down, but we've actually ended up hitting a pocket between this section of the world, which has all the siltstone and the stalactites, and the lava part of the world, which has all this igneous rock and this hardened lava that you can kind of see glowing down there a little bit. Now, unfortunately, we are nowhere near prepared to go down into that section of the world. We don't actually have the proper armor or the mining material. You'll notice that the cursor is green when I hover over this, but it's red whenever I hover over stuff like this. And you can't really see it because it kind of blends in with the red of the rock, but trust me, improved power cell required, yeah. We cannot mine any of that stuff. So what we're going to have to do in order to actually find iron is to mine sideways into these walls, just make a large mine area, like was my plan in the last episode, until we finally find some iron. So I'm probably going to have to do that off camera. I'll be right back. Oh man, I gotta say, I was getting really worried because I just ran up these stairs and essentially decided, okay, yep, let's mine right here. And fortunate that I did, because there's iron right here. Look at that. That is what iron looks like. Our cursor is blue as opposed to green, which means we can mine, but it turns blue on nodes, essentially, for ore. So I'm going to go ahead and mine around this area, but I'm going to have to be careful because my mining power cell is actually really low on durability. Let's clear this away real quick. Hopefully my mining power cell doesn't actually destroy itself here. Doesn't look like it's going to. I should be able to get all this away. Oh, it just destroyed itself. Okay, that's not a good sign. Okay, so it looks like I may have to end up going maybe behind the camera. I don't know. Actually, we've got 42 obsidian or something like that, or at least we did when we were making the armor. Now we've got 33, so no worries. Actually, I can actually go off behind camera, behind the scenes, and just make ourselves a new mining cell, which is totally fine. But for right now, let's go ahead and take the extractors and put it on the iron. Now that's actually going to take a while because iron, of course, is higher tier, and we're using just basic extractors on it, which might not be such a grand idea, but it's pretty much all we've got right now. Any other versions of extractors would be kind of expensive for us. So what I'm going to do is probably just, instead of jumping all the way up there, let's go ahead and teleport home. And here we are. So let's go ahead and make ourselves that obsidian power cell again. Now really, I'm going to have to be more careful about using this mining cell, and pretty much all the mining cells in the future, because at some point or another we may end up running out of materials and it's going to become a little more expensive to keep making these mining cells. So I'll have to keep an eye on them. Anyways, let's go down to the iron, and let's see how far along these extractors are in getting us that iron. Oh, I can hear them. Where are they? Here they are. Ooh, yeah, see, look at that. I don't think they're even halfway done. Nope, we're only going to get 3 from these 2 nodes, so that's going to be 6 in total, and we've still got 7 minutes to go. So what I may end up doing is just using this obsidian mining cell and just continuing to expand this area and see how much iron we can find. I'll be right back. So I'm continuing to mine here, and as you can see, this little area is actually becoming quite long. It's expanding quite well, but the durability on my mining cell is already halfway down, and all we've found is actually not more iron, but more coal. Oh, let's get rid of that. Put some extractors on it. Oh, and it looks like there's some coal just above this stuff here. So let's go ahead and start using the extractors on that as well. But I'm going to continue to mine and see if I can find some more iron. Okay, so I just logged back into the world in order to take all the durability all the way back up on all of my items, including my power cell. And it looks like while I was off, all this coal has finished mining. So I'll go ahead and grab some of that. Let's see these. This iron still isn't done. Oh, we've only gotten 2. We need that last bit of iron to be done. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working on this wall and expanding our iron mine. Okay, so I finally found some more iron, but look at this. Look how long it has taken me to find this iron. All this distance, and this stuff isn't even done yet. There's still a little bit left to go. So let's go ahead and as fast as we can get these extractors on this iron. There's one there. Oh no, please don't tell me it's just one piece of iron. That's actually kind of depressing. Oh, looks like there's another piece underneath it. Is there any over here? Oh, there is, thank goodness. Oh, looks like I'm stuck on one of the extractors. There we go. It looks like that's the only iron in the area. So we've essentially got 6 from over there and 9 from right here. It's about 15 pieces of iron if my math is correct. Alright, look at this. Not too far away from where we found the second deposit of iron, we've actually found another block of iron. So let's mine around this one and see how much there actually is. And again, of course, I'm going to have to watch that mining power cell. Make sure the durability on it doesn't go all the way down. Ooh, looks like there's at least 3 on this one as well. Looks like that's it for that one. So let's go ahead and get the extractors working on this pronto. And there we are. We should have enough iron at this point in order to actually make the iron mining cell. So I'll go ahead and fast forward to when we are able to craft that. Right, so I had to wait for all of those extractors to get all the iron, but they finally finished and I just teleported back to the base. So what I'm going to do is use the coal that I have and smelt all of this iron into iron bars. So we had 24 raw iron and we're smelting it all into bars. We had so much iron actually that it filled up the entire forge queue area, so we should have plenty of iron needed to actually create the next iron mining cell, which I believe we have everything we're going to need. It only takes 10 iron bars, 4 iron slabs, which are going to take a while to cut. Ooh, looks like we've only got 5 out of the 8 glowing mushrooms though. We obviously have plenty of magnetite. Let's go over to our biodegradable chest and see. We've got 2 more glowing mushrooms, so 5, 6, 7. Is that how many we needed? Nope, we need 8, so obviously we're going to have to go down and find some more glowing mushrooms. And here we go, just pop back down into our mining area, and I found, of course, some more blue mushrooms. So I'll go ahead and harvest up the rest of these, which will give us exactly what we need in order to make the mining cell. Ooh, and look at that, we also found some mold. Alrighty guys, so all the iron is smelted, and of course we have made the iron slabs, went and collected some more glowing mushrooms, and we've obviously got lots of magnetite, so let's go ahead and craft ourselves the iron mining cell. Go ahead and grab that. Now this episode we probably won't be making the iron sword just because we're a little short on time right now, and I also want to show you guys this. Now you'll notice we've got one teleporter, goes straight up to the second floor right up there, and also the, oh actually no, I've got these switched around because we used this one originally as a test subject to show off the teleporters, but this one, and I'm gonna have to get this straight eventually, this one should go to the basement now, and this one should go to the roof, or the second floor I should say. So let's try this out. There we are, we're up on the roof. Now let's go back down. There we are, and this one will show you off the basement. Here we are. Now you notice I didn't use the stone walls like we did for the base of the house because I wanted it to look a little more old and weathered, a little more rugged. And of course this is essentially the same dimensions as the house, just up above, one floor above us. So what I'm thinking about doing is using this as a crafting area, and of course utilizing the rest of the area as just storage. And there we are. That's going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Go ahead and hit that like button to show your support for this particular series, and I will see you guys next time.